In a series of videos, we are learning HTTP client module. Currently, we are having a detailed look into HTTP protocol. In the previous video, we saw the demonstration on how to send a HTTP request and receive a HTTP response using REST client extension. In this video, we will understand about HTTP protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This protocol is based on client-server architecture. The client is the one that initiates a request to the server. The server responds back with data to the client. The client can be a desktop PC, mobile phone, or any other device. In the desktop PC and mobile phone, a software needs to be installed which understands the HTTP protocol. A browser software knows how to send and receive as per the rules of HTTP protocol. Certain specific desktop application or mobile app may have the capability to send and receive HTTP request and response. For example, in the previous video, we saw the demonstration on how a HTTP request can be sent from Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is a desktop application from which we were able to make a HTTP request. Certain mobile app may use HTTP protocol in the background to get data from the server. For example, an app that reports weather gets the weather data from a server using HTTP protocol. Now that we have looked into the client part of the client-server architecture, let us have a look at the server side. The server side should be a hardware with a higher configuration than a desktop. The server should have an operating system, and on top of that operating system, a web server software should be installed. The web server software knows how to handle HTTP request and send back HTTP response. An example setup for a server can be a HP server having Linux operating system installed with Apache as web server software. Hope the explanation so far gives an idea about the architecture behind HTTP protocol. I will now provide a demonstration to show you how HTTP protocol becomes the backbone of Internet for exchange of information. In Visual Studio Code, I have created a new file named examples.htp. This file contains an example HTTP request. In this example HTTP request, we are accessing the home page of Wikipedia. This is the home page URL of Wikipedia. The path /wiki/main_page is included in the first line of HTTP request. In the host, we have en.wikipedia.org. Sending this request is similar to accessing the URL http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/main_page in the browser. I have included this entire URL as a comment for our quick reference. Notice the hash character in the beginning to represent a comment, which ensures that REST client extension does not consider this line as a request. Let me send this request. This HTTP request goes to the Wikipedia server and gives back this HTTP response. If I scroll down the response, we can see some HTML content. Let me explain about this HTML content from the browser. I have already accessed the Wikipedia homepage from the browser and I have the network tab open. In the first entry, we have main_page. This entry means that the browser has sent a HTTP request to the server. This HTTP request sent by the browser is somewhat similar to the HTTP request that I just now sent in Visual Studio Code. If I select the first entry in the browser, in the right hand side response section, we can see some HTML content. This HTML content is the same HTML response that was received in the REST client response in Visual Studio Code. Let us further examine the HTML content in the browser. If I scroll down over here, we can see an img tag having reference to Wikipedia logo image file. The image file name is wikipedia.png. Let me close this right hand side section. In the list of entries in the network tab, we can see an entry wikipedia.png which we just now saw in the HTML content. When the browser loads this page, it scans the HTML response to know about the various resources required for displaying this page. If it sees an image tag, it sends a new HTTP request to fetch the image. Likewise, each entry in this network tab list is a separate HTTP request sent by the browser to display this page. We can see a request for CSS style sheet in this line, a request for JavaScript in this line. Likewise, various resources required for the web page is separately obtained by the browser by sending a separate HTTP request for each resource. The browser is able to correctly display this web page only after receiving all the HTTP responses. We can see displaying a web page does not happen by making a single HTTP request, but it is composed of multiple HTTP requests to get access to various resources. Let me go to Visual Studio Code and open countries.html. In the previous video, we saw how this HTTP request helps to make a backend REST API call and get JSON data as response from the server. In this video, it was demonstrated how various HTTP requests and responses happen when a web page is accessed, and we also saw how HTTP protocol is used to get various kinds of information like HTML, images, style sheet, script, or any other information required to display the web page. This clearly demonstrates that HTTP protocol helps in displaying a web page, and it also helps in getting data from backend service. Hope this video helps you understand the broader role played by HTTP protocol to make the internet work. Let me summarize the learning we had so far with regards to HTTP protocol. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP is a client-server protocol. The client sends a HTTP request to the server. The server responds back with HTTP response. The HTTP response can contain any kind of information like JSON data, HTML, image, script, font, or any other possible format. In the next video, we will have a detailed look into HTTP request.